Ah, Gerald, the man, the myth, the quitter. I suppose it was inevitable. You can only spend so many hours sifting through TikTok dance challenges and Reddit rants before you look in the mirror and ask yourself, is this who I am, a glorified voyeur with a corporate email address? Gerald snapped, of course. One day, after another pointless meeting with the Todd, something about synergy and maximizing surveillance efficiency, he marched into HR with a resignation letter written on the back of a used coffee filter. They didn't even try to stop him. Probably because HR knew they'd just stick some other poor soul in the hot seat. I have to admit, when Gerald quit, I felt a pang of admiration. He walked away from the farm, free as a bird, leaving behind spreadsheets of usernames and timestamps like discarded prison chains. I imagined him standing in the sunlight, breathing fresh air for the first time in years. And then, the universe laughed in my face. 2 weeks later, I got promoted. Promoted, of course, being corporate speak for, you now get to inherit Gerald's misery, plus a slightly bigger paycheck to convince you it's worth it. Yes, dear reader, I was now a surveillance officer at the plaza, tasked with monitoring employee activity, aka stalking them online. My job? To identify any disgruntled employees before they became the next Tiny Tim. The irony was thick enough to choke on. And here's the kicker. They assigned me to monitor my own content. All day, every day, I was supposed to watch my own TikToks, read my own Reddit posts, and compile reports on how much damage this could do to the company. It was surreal. I'd sit there, headphones on, watching myself reenact the Todd's rants with sock puppets. I'd pause to jot down notes like, potential threat level, moderate. Sock choice, impeccable. Corporate espionage had never been so meta. Occasionally, a supervisor would wander in, lean over my shoulder and say something helpful like, Tim, are you sure this isn't a bit too harsh on management? I'd nod solemnly, scribble something meaningless on my notepad, and continue watching myself roast the Todd's yacht addiction for the 27th time that week. But the true joy, if you could call it that, came during the weekly team meetings. A room full of people like me, all pretending to take this seriously. They'd bring up my posts as case studies, oblivious to the fact that the culprit was sitting right there, nodding along like the world's most cooperative criminal. Tiny Tim is getting traction online, someone would say, pointing at a graph showing my views skyrocketing. We need to figure out how he keeps slipping past us. And I'd lean back, feigning concern, and mutter something profound like, he's just very clever. They even tried implementing stricter rules on social media, hoping to scare employees into silence. It didn't work, of course. For every video they flagged, 2 more popped up. Tiny Tim was becoming a legend, a symbol, and there I was, tasked with containing a wildfire I had started. By the end of the first month, I stopped pretending to care. I spent my days compiling absurd incident reports about myself just to see if anyone was actually reading them. Incident report number 47. Tiny Tim claims management is powered by the souls of unpaid interns. Impact on morale. Catastrophic. Not a single supervisor batted an eye. Sometimes I'd wonder what Gerald would think of all this. I imagined him on a beach somewhere, sipping a margarita, laughing at the absurdity of it all. Meanwhile, I was stuck in a windowless room, watching my own face on a screen, trapped in a feedback loop of satire and surveillance. But the thing is, I wasn't miserable, not really. Because every view, every comment, every like on my posts reminded me that people were paying attention. That the farm, for all its gaslighting and greed, was being exposed. And if I had to sit there, day after day, watching myself mock the system while pretending to enforce it, well, let's just say there are worse ways to spend a workday. After all, they were paying me to be Tiny Tim's biggest fan. And that, my friends, is what I call poetic justice.